Hey, Manny Talavera here. What I wanted to do was just shoot a quick video and kind of clarify some things about this post. Now, first of all, I want to thank the 125 people plus who liked the post. I want to thank the 10 people who sent me friend requests, and I think I got about 7 instant messages on this, and some people were wanting clarification, and I just want to go over a few things. This post is all about changing your mindset about what it is that you do and how you attract money into your life. What it amounts to is you cannot make large sums of money doing $10 and $15 activities. And what you need to do is outsource all of those things. You need to outsource cooking, cleaning, laundry, miscellaneous errands, anything that would take you away from doing the thing that you're really, really good at that brings in the money. Now, I said, you're replacing $10 an hour things with $500 an hour things. And a lot of people took that literally. And so you had a few people who posted, well, I can't hire somebody to do this stuff for $10 an hour. And of course you can't. Some of these things are going to cost you $15, $20, $25 an hour. But what you need to understand is if you're doing $100, $200, $300 activities and you're hiring someone to do things for $30 an hour, you're getting a huge investment back on your money. And there are 2 reasons you want to do this. The first reason is energy, okay? So we only have so much energy, and I've talked to so many people who, do strategy sessions with me, and what happens is by the time they get ready to start doing the high dollar work, they have no energy because they're doing all of this other stuff and they're putting out all these fires. And so what you want to think about is when you get rid of all of that busy work, it frees up a lot of virtual RAM. It frees up a lot of energy for you to do the things that you really want to do. This is something you need to understand that's more important than anything. The most valuable resource you will ever have is time. That's it. Way, way more valuable than money, tenfold, because once time's spent, you can't get it back. It's gone. If we waste $1,000, we can figure out a way to manifest $1,000 next week. But we can't do that with time. What you need to think about is the whole reason you're into this is for time freedom. It's so that you can spend time with the ones you love doing the things that you like to do. And so what I want you to think about is if you're working really hard to grow a business and you do that 6 hours a day, why should at the end of that 6 hours that you have to run to the UPS store and the post office and you have to run to the grocery store and you have to run to the dry cleaners. And so all of that time could be spent with your loved ones. It could be spent doing the things that you want to do. It could be spent going out to movies, going to museums, doing the things that you really, that basically refresh you and bring you back and give you energy. And so that's the basis for all of this. It buys you the time to focus on the things that you would do. Now let's talk about the $500 an hour, because again, I had someone instant message me and say, well, what can I do to make $500 an hour? $500 an hour is basically a metaphor. You're doing high dollar work that ultimately produces a result. People who are millionaires don't make $500 an hour. They create things that ultimately make tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'll give you an example here. I got this product. It's called the Millionaire Coaching Formula, and this is a 10 CD set. It took me probably 40 hours to make this, and for a while I sold this at $297. So let's say I sold $50,000 worth of this, and it took me 40 hours to make. Well, my time there was worth $1,250 an hour. That's what you want to think about. What I'm doing right now is I'm turning the Millionaire Coaching Formula into a virtual course that's going to be a modulated online course, and I'm going to be selling that for $500. Now, we don't know what my ultimately time is going to be worth because we don't know how many I'm going to sell. But if I sell 100 of those at $500, that's $50,000. If I had 50 hours in that, we're looking at $1,000 an hour. The thing is, I'm not even going to have 50 hours in that. What you want to think about is that when you create something, you're creating massive leverage, because we create it once and then we can sell it over and over and over forever. You know, I've created over 50 packaged products like that. I mean, over 50. And I have, you know, when I originally started doing that, I mean, I had products that sold for years and years and years. So the time return on your investment is unbelievable. Now, I want you to think about another thing here. When you go out to the universe and you say, I need help with housekeeping, the universe is going to put someone in your space who needs help with money. And it's a great return for them. And you're actually, every time you hire someone to do the things that you don't want to do, you're blessing people. You're helping people. It's not just that, you know, you're getting that time back. You're helping someone to move forward in their life too. And that's what you want to think about. So, you know, it's not about being selfish, because if, you know, you're trying to do it all yourself, in a way, you're really just robbing yourself, in my opinion. But what it amounts to is when you grow and you get certain income levels, you start replacing this stuff. Now again, I understand if you're struggling, I understand if you can't do that now, but the mindset here is, we're going to make enough money to replace this activity, and then we're going to make enough money to replace this activity, and ultimately you're going to have a team of people that do things that help you and assist you in doing what it is that you do. So I'm going to tell you a little story. In 1960, the first census was taken, and at the end of retirement age, the government determined that 80% of the people at retirement age were broke, that 15% had a little bit of money, but they still had to work, that 4% were rich, and that 1% was super rich. Now, this was in 1960. In the year 2010, the government took the census again, and what they determined was that retirement age, 80% of the people in the United States were broke, 15% had a little bit of money but still had to work, 4% were rich, and 1% was super rich. Now look at this. In 50 years, from 1960 to 2010, we've had the birth of the computer, the birth of the microchip. Look what happened to the stock market. Look what happened to the automobile industry. You've had all of these advancements, and the numbers haven't changed at all. And the reason the numbers have not changed is because technology and all these things have nothing to do with whether a person gets rich or not. What determines whether a person gets rich or not are thoughts and behavior. What you think about and what you actually do. That's it. And so the great thing about this is, if you want to be wealthy, you need to quit doing what the 80% do and start doing what the top 20% do. And that's what we're talking about here. 80% of the people do their own lawn care. They do their own auto repair. They do their own maintenance and housework and all that. Well, if you want to move to a different group, you got to do what that group of people does. So the first thing you need to do is quit taking advice from poor people, right? You need to start looking and surrounding yourself with people in that top 20%. That's what you want to think about. And eventually what we want you to do is move into the top 5%. And the top 5% don't do any of that stuff. They have other people to do it for them. The great thing about this is you can choose which group you want to be in, right? You can choose that you no longer want to be in the 80% and you want to be in the top 5%. And so you can start doing what those people do. And what those people do, like I said, is they outsource everything. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the cell phone. And a lot of people, like I said, this is going to be a sore subject with a lot of people. If you want to prove how unimportant you are, answer this phone every time it rings. And look how little you ultimately get done. You have to put a buffer between you and everyone else who wants to either burn some of your time or take some of your money, because most people who are calling you on the phone, they're wanting time or money, or both. And my advice to you here is you need to quit answering the phone every time it rings. And in my opinion, you just need to quit answering the phone. This is a great resource for me to communicate with other people. But it's not a great resource for people to just get a hold of me anytime they have a thought. And that's what happens. And so what happens every time you answer that phone, you leave what you were doing, and once you go back to what you were doing, it takes you 10 minutes to get back to where you were. Now, a lot of people are going to bring drama and friction into your life. And every time that phone rings, you look at the phone and you just think, oh my God, but you answer it anyway. And you know you're going to be sucked down a black hole and you're going to lose an hour of your life to someone telling you all their problems. And they're going to hang up feeling great, and you're going to hang up feeling miserable. And so you have to have emotional self-defense in place. You have to have time constraints where, you know what? I can't answer that phone right now because I'm working on this project. I can't answer that phone right now because I am spending time with my family. And I can tell you, you can answer the phone later. You can check your voicemail. You know, my advice to you is very simply, pick and choose who you call back and when. I've got a time block. I've got a time block from 6 to 7 every evening where I call people back. So when someone calls me on this phone, they don't get me. They get a voicemail. They leave a voicemail, and what I decide is, number one, if I'm going to call them back at all, and number two, what order I'm going to call them back in, order of importance. Now, of course, if it's an emergency, certainly, you know, I'm going to call someone back immediately, but the thing is, I'm going to tell you, most emergencies are emergencies for someone else, and they're bringing you their emergency. It's not an emergency for you. So I hope I've clarified some things. You know, again, I appreciate all the posts, but I just want you all to understand this is about freeing up time to do high dollar activities that lead to big paydays. It's not about doing $500 per hour work where you're getting paid $500 an hour. It's about doing high dollar work where you're working on a project that ultimately launches and you make $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, you know, in a few days. And that's what it's about. And when you're hiring someone, you can't find someone for $10 an hour, maybe you have to pay $15 an hour. Maybe you even have to pay $20. And my advice to you is, you know, pay what you feel is right, and actually help people. You know, you're helping the universe by actually providing someone else an opportunity. So I hope that clarifies some of what we talked about. I appreciate you watching the video, and thanks a lot.